Good morning, my people. Good morning. Top of the morning to you. Grab your cup of coffee, grab your cup of Joe, hang out here for the next hour with me. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is the Sliwa Show, episode number 3. Thank you for hanging out. We got a lot to get into today. I'm looking forward to today's show. I got a lot of different things that I want to talk about. I was at the Padres game yesterday. We got the Padres and the Dodgers starting on Saturday. I want to present something to baseball fans out there and Dodger fans out there. What if the Dodgers lose again in the first round? I don't think they're favorites, which is a little bit odd to me, but I don't think they're favorites walking into this thing. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that. Sammy Long, who, if you guys remember Sammy from last year, so Sammy interned with me here at Hoops Talk. He is now a part of Hoops Talk as well. Last year, he was putting up preview videos before every Los Angeles Lakers game, and he was doing that, and he's going to continue to do that this year. So 8:30, Sammy's going to come join me, and we're going to hang out here. We're going to talk. Sammy's originally from Los Angeles, so we're going to talk Dodgers. We're going to talk Dodgers, Padres, and then, of course, we're going to talk some Lakers basketball as well. Also want to get a little bit, kind of a little bit behind the scenes today. I'm going to tell you guys what the first week has been like, running my own podcast, running my own business, kind of trying to figure all that out. Shit ain't easy. There's a lot of work to be done here, a lot of work to be done. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. So let's get into the show. If you got some comments, throw them in there. I'll do my best to get to these comments as the show goes. If you throw a super chat on there, appreciate it. Don't feel obligated to do it, but if you do, that definitely will get read. And we'll get on with the show. Okay, so yesterday, give me a second. Okay, give me a second here. Look, if you guys want the real, authentic Sliwa, then look, I got to be me. All right, I got to rock my Padre hat on here. All right, if you want Sliwa to be Sliwa, then I got to throw my Padres hat on here. I was at the game yesterday. I want to tell you guys a little bit about the game, and then we're going to talk about the Padres and the Dodgers as well. That series coming up. Yeah. Look, by the way, I think we got a little bit of a rivalry going here. And I don't know if Dodger fans want to admit this or not. I think Dodger fans don't want to admit that there's a little bit of beef between the Padres and the Dodgers, but I don't really understand how there isn't. It's going to be the three of the last 5 years the Padres have made the playoffs. Every single year they've made the playoffs, they have to go through the Dodgers. I do think rivalries do start in the postseason. I don't know if Dodger fans feel the same way. And probably not, because I understand why they wouldn't. Don't feel the same way about how Padre fans feel about the Dodgers. But I think it's going to be an exciting series. I think it's going to be a really, really good series. It sucks with all the injuries. Both teams, Musgrove leaving the game yesterday for the Padres. So I think that part is going to be, obviously disappointing, but Dodger fans are going to say, yeah, go look at our rotation. We have 39 guys that are out. Don't bitch and complain about your rotation. Go see all the guys that we're missing. So let me first kind of talk about being at the Padres game yesterday. And then I do want to talk about the Padres and the Dodgers in that upcoming matchup. By the way, how cool is this? Just having the two SoCal teams go at it again. I think that's phenomenal. I think it's good for Southern California. I think it's good for baseball. I don't know what it is, but I think there's something about every time they throw up those logos. I had something here. What was it that I saw here? Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to find this. But I saw something a little bit earlier, and it just looks good. When you put something like this up, there's a lot of star power. Obviously, look, the Dodgers have more stars than you can possibly imagine. That franchise and that organization. If there's one thing that I think you'll get accustomed to with me here, I'm not a Dodgers fan. But I give credit where credit's due. And, you obviously got to respect an organization that has been as successful as they have in the regular season. I'm going to stop when I say that because I don't think there's a Dodger fan that would disagree with me on this. They got holes, but their holes are in the postseason. But how cool is, I just point this out right here. You got some great stars. You got some big time names. I think it's good. Every time they start throwing up all these different, promoting the series and everything else. I always look at that. I'm like, that looks kind of clean when it says SD, when it says, obviously LA. So I think it's going to be a fun series. So I'm at the game yesterday. I'm going to kind of tell you guys a little bit about being at the game yesterday. First off, I lived in LA for 15 years. I mean, I'm still not even officially back in San Diego. I'm kind of still splitting my duty a little bit, but was in LA for 15 years. And I'd always you don't know LA traffic. There's no traffic. I couldn't get to the stadium yesterday. Me and my cousin went. I'm gonna probably mention my cousin. If you guys remember when I was on 710 ESPN, cousin Slee, as Trav used to refer to him, him and I were planning on going to the game, and on our way to the game, sitting in traffic, everything else. He runs his own little small business, so the guy has one of those vans that has his business on it, and it's one of those vans you could kind of sneak in anywhere. At least this is what he's telling me. He's like, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and park in the yellow as we get to downtown San Diego, and then we'll figure it out from there. I'm like, all right, what the hell do I care? So there we are, him and I, in this huge van, as if we're going to go do a job. Like, him and I are both like audio techs or something like that, driving down to the stadium so we can get down there. But we eventually get down there. We park right next to Petco Park because of this dude's van. It's pretty funny to kind of see all that unfold. Park in the yellow, and we work our way into the stadium. It was a vibe. It was a really, really cool vibe yesterday. One thing that LA is accustomed to that I don't think LA has. It's different. It's LA is accustomed to big events, sporting events like crazy. I mean, you go to the LA Times and you see Lakers, and you see Dodgers, and you see a tab for the Rams, and you see a tab for USC, and you see a tab for UCLA, and you see a tab for LAFC, the Kings. You see all these different tabs. I mean, it's no big deal in Los Angeles when there's a big sporting event going on. Literally, it's no big deal. This is just it's just another day in Los Angeles. In San Diego, it's a really, really big deal to have the San Diego Padres in the playoffs, to have them in the postseason. So when I say there was a vibe yesterday at the stadium, it was really cool. And I do know that there are a lot of people who are from Los Angeles or come down to a Padre Dodger game, and there's a lot of compliments about the vibe down there, the stadium, the city, and everything else. Yesterday was a playoff game. I know the Padres and the Dodgers faced each other a couple years ago. They faced each other in the playoffs. But before that, it's been a long time since the Padres were hosting playoff games. The way the Padres and the Dodgers faced each other in 2022, the Padres had to go to New York, to play the Mets in that 3-game series to just get that opportunity. It was in the wild card round to get the opportunity to play the Dodgers. So there really, really was not any, like I mentioned, there really wasn't much of a many playoff games that the Padres got to host. Well, now they were hosting against Atlanta, and you knew that there was going to be 3 straight games that were going to be at the stadium. But anyways, vibe was awesome yesterday. It was a weird feeling, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. And this will kind of get me into this is definitely going to get me into my topic about the Padres and the Dodgers. But it was weird because I didn't really have any emotions coming into the game. Why? Because I expected the San Diego Padres to beat the Atlanta Braves. They should have beat the Atlanta Braves. Braves are kind of dismantled with injuries as well. They're certainly not healthy. The Braves are definitely not, losing their ace, arguably the best pitcher in baseball, in Chris Sale. They've had other injuries that are there. They had to play that doubleheader on Monday and then fly all the way across the country to play the Padres. It was a weird feeling because I sat in the stands and I didn't really have this. I just felt like, hey, the Padres are going to win and they're supposed to win. Now, that feeling completely changes when you go up against an opponent like the Dodgers. That's going to be a much bigger challenge, but that's not a feeling I usually have when I'm talking about the San Diego Padres. Let me give you an example. Lakers. I got a lot of people that are on this channel because it's been such a Laker-focused channel, so there's a lot of Laker fans that are on here. And trust me, for those that know, and I know the season hasn't started, you're going to get a lot of Lakers content on this channel. I promise you that. It's just going to come over time. I don't think that's the most topical thing right now. And for doing a daily show, I want to make sure that I'm hitting on things that are the most topical. So with that in mind, with the Lakers, there's always this kind of like expectation. You're supposed to win. There's this expectation that it doesn't matter that you just made the play. Like none of that stuff. Even the Lakers making it to the Western Conference Finals really was not that big of a deal. I mean, it was a big deal because it wasn't expected a couple years ago, but nobody's going to look back and say, remember that year that the Lakers made to the Western Conference Finals? That's not what you're going to remember. Where that's different with a lot of other, teams out there, fan bases, that's not always the story. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make, I value where the Padres are right now, but I also understand, no, they were supposed to be there and they were supposed to have an opportunity. They should have beat the Atlanta Braves and, obviously moved on from there. But the vibe was great at the stadium. The Dodgers Padres are going to start on Saturday, which means Saturday, Sunday in LA. And I want to say Tuesday, Wednesday are the two games they're going to have in San Diego. It's going to be an incredible series. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Watching the game yesterday, a little high up there. Not going to lie. I have a quarter season package to the Padres I've had now for 2 years. So I had priority to purchase playoff tickets, but I did it too late. And let's just say I was pretty high up there. Probably could have watched that game on TV and it would have been just fine. Okay, I do want to talk about, one of the things that I think we all agree on this. It's the worst part about sports, period. Worst part about sports is when you feel like you got a good squad, and this is going to get me into Padres Dodgers. When you feel like you got a good squad and injuries just take over. The Padres yesterday had one of the reasons why, and I was getting ready to come on here and tell anybody that's on this channel or anybody that wants to listen that a Padres-Dodgers matchup, I really like the chances of the Padres beating the Dodgers. And listen, I'm sure there's a lot of Dodger fans out there saying, yeah, cool, well, we have the same feeling about beating the Padres. I mean, Dodgers just took 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, or Dodgers just took 2 or 3 from the Padres last week up in Los Angeles. And the only win that the Padres had, I know the first 2 games were very competitive, but the only win that the Padres had was Miguel Rojas grounding in to a game-ending triple play. It may never happen again in our lifetime. My point is that the Dodgers could have easily taken all 3 of those games. But the series, all season long, I want to say Padres went 8-5 against the Dodgers this year. I'm going to go back to the injuries real quick. So yesterday, Joe Musgrove leaves the game. What do you go, 3 2/3, something like that, with tightness in his elbow. And I could already see, any baseball person sitting there saying, tightness in your elbow, yeah, that dude ain't coming back. I hope he comes back. We'll see what happens. But there was kind of a vibe yesterday. And again, I'm very, very aware that there's a lot of Dodger fans out there that would say, don't complain to us about injuries. It's the worst part of the game. It's the worst part about the sport. I think one of the the biggest advantage the Padres had over the Dodgers coming in to this series was going to be starting pitching. And if you want to say bullpen as well, but the bullpen I think has got better for the Dodgers. The Padres bullpen probably a little overrated, to be honest with you. They went out there and made a ton of acquisitions at the trade deadline, but probably a little overrated. They've been good. They haven't been great. But I thought one of the big advantages was going to be the starting pitching. Well, why was that going to be an advantage? It was going to be an advantage because Tyler Glasnow is out. It was going to be an advantage because still no real word or clarity on Gavin Stone, unless there's been, or I'm sorry, on Clayton Kershaw. Gavin Stone out. I don't need to talk about the guys. There was a quick second there. Hey, can Tony Gonsolin come back? That ain't going to happen. Dustin May obviously out. There's a ton of really, really good pitchers. The ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who they went out, traded for, and then signed to an extension in Tyler Glasnow. You take all these pieces and you can literally make another team /roster/starting rotation with all the guys that are out for the Dodgers and have a great playoff run if all those guys were healthy on a separate team. The Musgrove piece missing for the Padres, they had depth at starting pitching. Now they no longer have depth. Now the questions that, I think a lot of people were asking, I brought this up yesterday. I brought it up. I said that take a look at who's going to be the third best pitcher for the Dodgers. Is it Walker Buehler? Is that the guy really that the Dodgers are saying, hey, you're our guy? They don't have a choice. Now for the Padres, it will be a little bit different because they have Yu Darvish, but no doubt about it, they needed Joe Musgrove. No doubt about it. I think one of the biggest advantages that the Padres had, if I was going to give the Padres the edge against the Dodgers coming into the series, again, it just has to do with starting rotation. I mean, that to me is the only thing. That's the only reason or justification to say I think the Padres would have an advantage because of that starting rotation. Now all of a sudden you take that out. That's a killer. That's a killer. And I'll continue to say this because I think it's important to say. I understand nobody is going to sympathize with the Padres, and especially if you're a Dodger fan, of course you're not going to sympathize with the Padres because the Dodger situation, all the injuries that they have. But overnight, sitting there and I'm looking and you see the catcher for the Padres go up to the mound and all of a sudden start taking a look at, having a conversation with Musgrove. And then the pitching coach comes out and then all the infielders come in and then Mike Schilt comes in and you're just standing there and I keep looking. I'm like, it's a 2-1 count. There's a major problem here if this dude can't throw another pitch. And, before you know it, he's leaving the game and it's a wrap. And, you just kind of see him walking off and that was it. And there was some sound after, no need to play. Like I just mentioned, this is just kind of the situation that they're in. But that's the worst part of sports. It's the worst part of sports. But I do think it has evened out the series. I think what the Dodgers have, that their bats are so unbelievable, but I think baseball has always proven, it's always shown that you can't just rely on bats in the postseason. How many times are you going to score 5-6 runs in a game? You can't rely on that. Give me good starting pitching over a couple bats that can get hot or cold in the postseason, but Dodgers don't just have any, a rotation or they don't just have regular bats. They don't even just have all-star bats. They have Hall of Fame bats. Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie Freeman to start the game. And if you got through those three and you think you could take a deep breath, it's like, no, you got Teoscar Hernandez, you got Max Muncy, you got Will Smith, you got all these other guys that are incredibly dangerous as well. The Dodgers are going to rely on trying to score some runs and hoping guys like Jack Flaherty and Yamamoto and their bullpen can carry them for a couple of games. So I think it's going to be an exciting series. I really do. I think it's good for Southern California. I'm going to go back to something I said a little bit ago. And if you're a Dodger fan out there, I'd love to get your thoughts because I haven't really – I feel like I have the opportunity now to kind of not that I didn't have the opportunity before, but there could be a little bit more back and forth between me and Dodger fans when it just comes to the baseball part. And I want to hear the Dodger perspective here for a quick second. Is this a rivalry? Do Dodger fans look at the Padres? You don't have to look at them the way the Padres look at the Dodgers, because I'll tell you exactly how the Padres look at the Dodgers. The moment the game ended yesterday against the Braves, it was game 2, Beat LA chant started. Well, why did Beat LA chant start? Well, they started because the Dodgers have been the big bad wolf who's been controlling the division for the last 12, 13 years. That's why that happened, because everyone in the NL West is always looking up at the Dodgers. Now, I understand the Dodgers rivalry with the San Francisco Giants. I understand that's a rivalry that it's got a lot of history behind it, got a lot of hatred behind it. NorCal versus SoCal. I get all that stuff. I understand how that's in there, but the Giants and the Dodgers have only faced each other one time in the postseason. The Padres and the Dodgers are about to face each other 3 out of the last 5 years. If you want to move on in the playoffs, the Padres and the Dodgers got to go through each other. in the COVID year. Was that a 3-game set? I can't remember. Was that a 3 or a 5-game set when they played each other? I remember Bellinger robbing Tatis of a home run. That was in game 1. But Dodgers ended up sweeping the Padres. We all know what happened in 2022. One of the best teams assembled of the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was basically the Padres got no shot, and the Padres made it happen in 4 games. They took out the Dodgers at Petco Park, and it was one of the greater San Diego sports moments that we've had down here. It's the truth. And, however anybody wants to look at that some of that has to do with the lack of success that San Diego has had, but it also had to do with you're beating a Dodgers team that's so unbelievably dominant. They were so dominant in the regular season, and the Padres took them out in 4 games. And then here you are again, while there was actually a divisional race over the last week of the season. The Dodgers took 2 of 3 from the Padres to close out the division. They didn't do that. It wasn't like, in August, the division was already decided. No, it was the Padres and the Dodgers. Yes, the Dodgers still had a comfortable lead, but it got all the way down to 2 games, and they were going to face each other for 2 more games. The Dodgers beat them, wrapped up the division, and now we're sitting here. Obviously, in a position where the teams are going to face each other again. How is that not creating a rivalry between the 2 franchises? And it's less to do with how Padre fans feel about the Dodgers. I think it's more how Dodger fans feel about the Padres. There's got to be a little bit of hatred of the Padres. There has to be. The Padres beat the Dodgers to go face the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLCS a couple years ago when the Dodgers were the heavy favorites. You look at the way the Padres, who lost Juan Soto, shed close to $100 million in their payroll, and they were still able to go put a deal together and put a team together to win 93 games and still go up against 93, 95, whatever it was, and to still go up against the Dodgers and have a legitimate chance to beat them. I know there's some circumstances out there, but Dodgers spent $1.2 billion in the offseason. Money ain't a problem. Go see how many seats are sold at Dodger Stadium every single day and the revenue that's coming in. They went and signed Shohei Ohtani for $700 million, probably already made back their money. I think we got something here. I think it's exciting. I think it's great for SoCal, and definitely think this is a cool little rivalry that we got brewing here. Let's see what we got here. All right. Some people just saying, Al, I just want you to know, I hate the Padres. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, got another comment here. Be criminal not to take the Padres seriously. I don't think. I think there are a lot of Padre fans. I think there are a lot of Padre fans out here that still have the. Or I'm sorry, I think there's a lot of Dodger fans out here that are not taking the Padres lightly. I don't. I think Padres have a really good team. They have a full roster, top to bottom, pitching, bullpen, bats. They got everything. So I don't think they're going to take them lightly. By the way, I want to address something here real quick on the chats. I see some things in the chat talking about how this is a SD chat. This is not an SD chat. This is the Sliwa show. Whether you're in San Diego or Los Angeles, I live in San Diego. I'm from San Diego. So naturally, it'd be great to bring San Diegans into this chat. But LA 1000% is also invited into this chat. I just spent 8 years on LA radio, and there's a lot of people in Los Angeles that have tuned into me because I had a mic in LA. So this is 100%. And watch what happens as this kind of channel continues to go. There's going to be a lot of Laker conversations on here. Everyone's invited. Let's put it that way. And I hope that I'm entertaining you enough and that you guys respect and appreciate the show enough that you guys are hanging out for all sorts of reasons that are not even just sports, but also just to get entertained. So again, I'll address this for people that are saying that this is just an SD chat. It's not just an SD chat. I love San Diego. This is home for me. I'll always rock SD, but this is also, like I said, this is a channel that was really built while I was in Los Angeles. And what I want to make this more and more of is a conversation, really, hopefully, maybe I'm hitting on all SoCal sports, except the Chargers. Except the Chargers. Piece of shit, Dean. Yeah, that ain't gonna go anywhere. That's deeply, deeply rooted inside of me. That's not gonna go anywhere. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, got some people. You guys want to start throwing your predictions in here in this series? That's okay. I got somebody here, Padres in 4. I'll give you guys my prediction. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. Um, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. By the way, this is another good point. There are people everywhere. These freaking guys. Um, there are people everywhere, way outside of Southern California, that are also part of the show. I find it kind of funny, actually, to kind of see the back and forth between the two cities. I don't have a problem with that. Here's the Dodgers in 5. Let me say this: this is a good series. This is a really, really good series. When it just comes to the baseball portion, I think it's going to be a fun series. I think this is good for Major League Baseball. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be. I really don't think this is going to be a quick series. 3 games, definitely not happening. 4 games, okay, that could easily happen, but I would not be shocked at all if this is a 5-game set. If it's a 5-game set. All right, I mentioned here in about 4 or 5 minutes or so, I'm going to have Sammy Long come on here, and we're going to talk a little bit about. Joe's asking here, best of 5 or best of 7? It's a best of 5. So they do 3 in the wild card, they do 5 in the next round, and then the NLCS, ALCS will be 7. Will be best in 7. Got a lot of Dodgers in here in 4. I got some Padres here in 4. Got it's a sweep. Yep. We got a lot of people putting their opinion on here, so I appreciate you guys doing that. I got a couple supers here that I want to get to real quick. What's up, Sliwa? This is going to be a great series. I'm a little nervous. Go Dodgers. Can I say something to you, Tommy? And I appreciate the message here. I can't tell you. I'm with you on that. Like, I think there are a lot of times the Dodgers might walk into a set and just, well, maybe not, doing the show as long as I did with Travis. Travis was always uneasy because of how the Dodgers performed in the postseason. So I kind of, over time, I kind of understood where he was coming from. It's like, okay, I see where he's coming from here. They've had St. Louis and Houston. I know the Astro series, everyone, that's a question mark. The Nationals, I mean, you go back, there's a lot of series that the Dodgers have been where they were clear-cut favorites and it didn't happen. They didn't accomplish what they were supposed to. But when you say this is going to be a great series, I'm a little nervous. I don't typically hear that too much from Dodger fans when it comes to playing the Padres. I don't. So I think that part's going to be exciting because I think it is a coin flip. I think either team can win. If Jack Flaherty is amazing, if Yamamoto is amazing, if Bueller can give them a game with that Dodgers offense, okay, then Dodgers probably handle business. If the Padres played the way they have all season long, best record in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break, it's the Padres. By the way, you know who's second on that list? It's the Dodgers. So even the Dodgers with all the issues that they had. But if Cease is dealing and King is dealing and Darvish can, hopefully give you some starts now that Musgrove isn't there, I like the Padres' chances. So when you say you're a little nervous, all that says to me is that you think it's going to be a competitive series. Miss Molly, thank you for the super. Greatly appreciate that. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. And I think, like I said, it's going to be good for a little bit back and forth here. Dodgers drought continues. Let me say this about the Dodgers, and I could spend a little bit more time on this tomorrow just because Sammy's going to join me here in a second. If they lose again in the first round, that would be 3 years in a row. Granted, I don't think this year, I think this year would be a lot different than previous years. And what I mean by that is, the year against the Padres, they won 110 plus games. I think that was a year they won 110 plus. Maybe it was 106. I can't remember what the number was. They had almost, one of their more historic seasons, and then we're out in 4. Last year, losing to Arizona. Now, I know they had pitching issues there, but they got swept by the Diamondbacks. This year, I don't think there is this, hey, there is a clear favorite between the two teams. But if they did lose again, and that's 3 years in a row, that the Dodgers lose, I don't know if they're going to make changes. I don't know if, that's going to be a big issue or a big problem, or they decide, what, Dave Roberts got to go. I have no idea. But to have this team, they're certainly set up for the present. They're certainly set up for the future. And I'm talking about the Dodgers. But if that were to happen, yeah, I don't know what exactly that would look like. And I don't know how much more leniency Dave Roberts would get to, but we get to that as the series gets started. I don't think I want to get into that right now. All right. Sammy is going to join us here in another minute or two. So let me kind of set this up here for Sammy. I want to bring Sammy on because once the Lakers season starts, which it's gonna start tomorrow, Sammy's going to do these preview videos on the channel. And if you guys are accustomed to it, last year, Sammy was doing something similar. Sammy was doing a preview video. It's about a 10 to 15 minute video talking about the upcoming game. 10 to 15 minute video, really just kind of hitting on the matchups, what to look out for, some stats that maybe you guys didn't have in mind. So a lot of that stuff is what he's going to do. And, obviously I want to make sure, because I do understand that a lot of people that have been on this channel, have subscribed to this channel, over 25,000 subscribers, a lot of them are Laker fans. And it's going to be incredibly, incredibly important for me to make sure that, we're putting up a lot of Lakers content. The channel is still called Hoops Talk. So, my plan, and it has always been my plan, was to eventually make sure that I was putting up as much Laker content as possible and NBA content as possible. So that's still going to happen on the channel, but the channel's a work in progress. That's the best I could tell for you. I think what I would say is that I'm kind of learning as I go as well. And trust me, it's every single day I'm learning a little bit more here. All right, let's see if we could add Sammy to the mix here. Get in here, Sammy. Get yourself in here, buddy. There he is.
Honestly,
there he is.
What's going
up,
on,
Sammy?
dude?
What's up, brother?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Look at you. Look at that hair. That right, good hair there and everything. I can't do that. That's why I gotta wear a hat here. And
I spent a summer out in Phoenix. It just lightens. There's nothing to do besides sit in the pool or So
it's good living right there.
Yeah.
How are you, brother? You doing okay?
Doing good. Enjoying a little San Diego sun right now. What about you?
Good. I just finished, and I want to get into some of this stuff with you about the Padres and the Dodgers, because I think it's going to be a really, really good matchup. I know you're very knowledgeable on the baseball side as well, even though you've predominantly come on here. So let me give everybody just a kind of a quick background here with Sammy. So Sammy, originally from Los Angeles, has graduated from San Diego State University. Last year, him and I linked up, and he was an intern at Hoops Talk, and just does a great job. He's a grinder, very, very into Lakers basketball, very, very into sports, and he's done a fantastic job of kind of finding a way to carve a little piece of the pie here on Hoops Talk. So let's talk a little bit, Sammy, during the season, and this is going to start tonight for you. You're going to get a chance to do these preview videos. Lakers will start the preseason tomorrow. They're going to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So tell those that are on here a little bit what you're going to be doing before every game.
I'm excited. Yeah, I did a little bit last year, kind of highlighting, just kind of getting you guys ready for the matchup, who they're playing. I know a lot of people, kind of maybe just follow the Lakers, or they don't know, what's going on with the Minnesota Timberwolves or what's going on in the Eastern Conference, and just kind of getting everyone set up and highlighting all the big Laker news. Obviously the Jared Vanderbilt injury has been big. Tons of storylines this year with JJ Redick becoming the new head coach and kind of going with the same starting lineup, but just kind of be getting everyone ready for every game, and I'm excited to do it.
All right, let's do this. So I think for those, anytime a game is about to go, anytime the Lakers are about to have an opponent, all 88 games this year, I got to work on a sponsor for Sammy. Sammy, I'm working on it, buddy. I know. We got to get, there's a lot of work to be done. I jumped into this channel. I'm like, I got it all figured out. Yeah, I don't have shit figured out. I'll tell you that right now. We got a long
You
way
got
to
a nice
go.
little setup there. I think you're on the right track, Alan.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is before every Lakers game, just keep an eye out for the video. And I really, really think that Sammy's going to be able to provide kind of some strengths and weaknesses to watch for with other teams. Listen, Lakers have it's going to be a tough season, period. The Western
Yeah.
Conference is incredible. You know, one of the things I was talking about at training camp or at media day when I was there, the thing that I kept hearing was, well, the Lakers, if they're healthy and the continuity that they're trying to grow off of. But the one thing that just kind of kept coming to my mind is like, if they're healthy, if this team loses D'Angelo for a period of time, I'm not even going to say LeBron and AD because
Yeah.
there's nothing to talk
Season's
about if
over.
LeBron,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
if LeBron and AD are not healthy. But I think there is so much. Um, I think there is so much about sitting here and kind of looking at this team and this roster coming into this upcoming season. They got a lot of question marks, and it's certainly going to be a challenge. So it will be it'll be great to have you doing the preview videos. I'm going to ask you. Just we'll stay on the Laker topic here for a quick second. What do you think? What's your thoughts on this upcoming year? I was asking people yesterday if there's some excitement about the upcoming year or if there isn't. What's your level of looking at the offseason and what happened? What's your level? What do you think of where the pot or where the Lakers are right now?
I'm uh, I'm excited. I actually think this is a good spot for the Lakers. I think a lot of people are kind of ruling them out for, a lot of people don't like the Lakers. If you're not a Laker fan, it's kind of the Cowboy treatment, kind of the Yankee treatment. The rest of the league wants the Lakers to lose, and I think they're sitting in a good spot. You saw last year you lose to the Nuggets in 5 games. All those games are super close. And if you had a couple guys, Gabe Vincent, was healthy, but really wasn't. He'd come back 2 weeks before the season ended, could never get a shot developed. Jared Vanderbilt, wasn't able to play. He would have been huge down the stretch on Jamal Murray, who absolutely destroyed the Lakers in that series. I think it's a big if because the stars are getting older and it's tough. It's amazing to keep counting on LeBron and he's 40 and saying he's going to be healthy all year. If this team is healthy, I do think they could cause a lot of damage because they're a lot deeper than I think people give them credit for. I think there's some pieces in Max Christie and guys like that aren't getting a lot of national love that I could carve out a nice role for themselves this year.
Yeah, I've already seen. I didn't really understand it last year, but I've already seen a ton of comments about Max Christie and how they're going to want to use him this year and that you need two-way players on the wing, and Christie can kind of give him a little bit of that. By the way, you do. In the NBA, that's a must. You have to have that. You have to have players that are obviously willing to and you need young players. Look at the NBA today. As much as they want to go out there and they want to go try to get veterans, it's a young man's league. And you got to have,
Yeah.
and I'm not even saying that, even if you don't have um, uh, 4 or 5 young budding superstars, that's okay. But you got to have a mix of young players. And
Yeah.
yeah, Max Christie's an interesting one. I can't really figure out why he had as much trouble as he did getting into the rotation last year, but he did. And the Lakers, Darvin Ham never really felt like he was comfortable of giving him real opportunities, and I think that hurt the Lakers.
Yeah, and you saw that JJ Redick identified him immediately. I mean, they gave him a 4-year, $32 million. So he clearly sees something in him that right away, and he's talked about it media day. He's going to get more time. I think you saw it a lot last year when the Lakers would play because the Lakers had to have the talent. They had it last year to play with anybody. You saw them have big wins against the Bucks multiple times, huge teams in the West, and but then you play some young teams they couldn't beat the Rockets. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you just beat Minnesota? How do you just beat Milwaukee? Beat Boston on the road and in Boston without LeBron and AD, and then you get run by a Houston team that's all 22-year-old kids. And I think it's some of that is that it's like a lack of focus. And I think going a little bit younger, Dalton Connect and Max Christie could add a lot to that.
Yeah, it's funny because that I guess that's the part where I get a little worried too. It's if you depend too much on youngsters who just don't have, like, every time I hear Dalton Connect's name, I'm like, all right, this guy ready
Yeah.
to contribute that quick? And by the way, he might be. For all, the good thing is this dude didn't come in. He didn't come in as a 19-year-old, right? He came in further into his in college career. He had actually pretty good experience in college. So the fact that he'd come in, but I just don't want to put too much dependency on that. What do you think of JJ Redick? You excited to see JJ?
I am. When I first heard it, I was, I think like everyone, like what, like this is the guy they're gonna get. Like you're not gonna go get a Budenholzer, a guy that's a veteran head coach. I got to give him credit. He's great behind the mic. I mean, he really sells a media day. It makes sense. You worked at ESPN as an analyst. I like it. I really do feel like we got to see him coach first, right? Give him a whole bunch of praise. But I do like that he seems to hold his guys accountable, and I don't think he's just going to do whatever LeBron wants. I love that he's already kind of built a rapport with D'Lo. I mean, D'Lo apologizing at the media day, talking about how he didn't give effort. He's clearly buying in. There's something JJ Redick's saying that he's selling. So I like it so far. But obviously we'll see with rotations when we get in the year. But so far, I'd give it a good hire.
Okay.
What about you?
Yeah, I think, I think a couple days ago, or was last week, JJ Redick and Pelinka had their interviews, and it's funny. I'm just kind of sitting there. I'm like, look, even if JJ Redick is a good coach, hypothetically, if he's a good coach, you can still end up a number 7 seed and be out in the first round. That can happen to the Lakers. And then all of a sudden, are we going to look at JJ Redick and say, well, okay, he's not a good coach? If there's one thing the Lakers need to stop doing, it's first off, you got to identify a coach and know that that's the right person. That's a long-term plan. The Lakers have not done a good job of doing that, period. They have not done a good job doing that. But I will say this. How are we supposed to know if JJ's a good coach, even if I think the roster has some holes? LeBron is going to be 40 years old. You got this kind of mix of, okay, he's going to be playing with his son. All right. Is the attention on winning? Is the attention on, I get distracted with some of that stuff. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is, how are we supposed to know if JJ Redick is a good coach or not based off of the circumstances with the Lakers? He's not coaching the Rockets. He's not coaching the Spurs. He doesn't have this like, hey, we got time to figure this out. He's expected to be good right out the gate. And I don't know if that roster in this team and that construction and the competitiveness in the Western Conference will allow that.
I mean, personally, I just want them to put Bronny in the first game, let him throw a pass to his dad, get an assist, and then everyone will go crazy on ESPN, and then get it out of the way.
I know.
Because
I'm with you on that, by the way.
And I'm not trying to be like rude to Bronny. I hope he's great. As a Laker fan, as a diehard Laker fan, I hope he proves everyone wrong. He's a great player. But that cannot be a narrative all year of, first points, first assists, him and his dad on the same court. Like, I'd rather them get out of the way first game and then be done with it, because we focus on winning and not that.
Let me give you an example. I'm going to see if I could share this here real quick.
Rec League Slee coming off the bench. I like it.
Yeah, that one I had to put in there, because I don't know if Brandon, used to play for one of the other rec teams out there, but he knows. Brandon knows.
He knows. Are you a slasher? Are you a spot-up shooter? What's your game? You're a lockdown defender?
First off, let me just say, Sliwa and slashing to the basket never happened, ever. Not one time. Not one time.
Slasher Slee? Yeah,
I couldn't go in there. But let me share my screen here real quick. So, we're talking about the narrative, and I'm with you. Listen, God bless that the man is playing with his son. Cool, all that stuff. You see ESPN.com right here. You're seeing it with me, right? Okay. You see the top headlines. Altuve urges, Goff rise 3 sets. Auburn adds AD. LeBron dialing it up at practice with Bronny. This is I'm with you on the and I haven't even read the story, but immediately when I see things like this, here's the quote: "It's fantastic to be able to be here and witness it in practice. Bronny hit a 3 over him today. Everybody was talking smack to Bron." Listen, maybe I'm crazy and this is a good thing for the Lakers. I mean, I think I don't have that answer. However, I will tell you that I'm with you. I personally don't care about the storyline. I want it to happen. He got drafted. Okay, it is what it is. But when the season starts, and I think most Laker fans would agree with this, at the end of the day, you're just trying to win. And that's what Laker
Right.
fans want. So I like what you said. Hey, go ahead, sub him in, do whatever you got to do. Let's kind of get it out of the
Get it
way.
done.
But that's why I go back to, I just went to ESPN.com. Season hasn't started yet. Is NBA really a top storyline right now? No, it's not, right? You got baseball playoffs going on, college football, NFL. You got all these other things just kind of dominating
Yeah.
the storylines. One of the main stories was AD being asked about Bronny and LeBron.
Right. And I thought it was interesting going back to the D'Lo apologized for his play the last 2 years. I mean, if that happened and Bronny wasn't on the team, that would maybe lead ESPN in the terms of, or definitely be on the top headlines. I mean, it's the Lakers, D'Angelo Russell, something like that. That kind of got swept under the radar just because it was like, it was funny. I get it. They all wanted to dunk on LeBron in practice. I get it. But like, when the season's 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away, like, let's get it going.
I just have to point this out. Echo Park. I don't really have to point it out. I think everybody already knows that tournament in 2012 at Echo Park. I hit 9 threes in a row on a grade 3 ankle sprain.
Is this real?
No, not at all.
Oh.
Not at all. By the way, it's
I
so
thought you were talking about
Sammy, it's so not real that I didn't even know how to describe my injury. I don't even know if there is grades to ankle sprains. I don't know if there is. So to answer your question,
Jordan,
no.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so that's part of our Laker part of this. You're a huge baseball fan as well, so I know how.
Yes,
And I mentioned your roots are in Southern California. So, what's Padres and the Dodgers Saturday night from Dodger Stadium? And I'll just kind of give you a little bit of my my take on this. I think this is one of the first times that, as a Padres fan, I'm walking into a series with the Dodgers. Comfortable is not the right word because I don't think you can be comfortable, but there is a little bit of a confidence of, okay, let's go at it. Like either team can win. I don't think this is one of those, there's a clear-cut favorite. Hey, the Dodgers are supposed to dominate the Padres. No. If the Dodgers won this series, no one would be surprised. If the Padres won this series, I don't think that many people would be surprised either. I think it's a really, really good competitive matchup between both of these teams in SoCal. What's your thoughts on the matchup coming up?
I agree with that. I think it's interesting how I actually think it benefits the Dodgers in a little bit that kind of no one is believing in them because every year in the 2022 season where they got beat by the Padres, it was, I mean, this team is one of the best teams of all time. There's no way they're going to get beat, in a 5-game series against the Padres. Padres snuck in the playoffs. They did. Kind of felt like it wouldn't happen again last year with the Diamondbacks. Same thing. Diamondbacks snuck in. The pitching was a bit of concern going into the playoffs last year. They got swept out. This year, you have spent $1 billion in the offseason, Shohei, Yamamoto, Teoscar, all these guys. And,
that's why they should have spent, I'm telling everybody, they should spend 1.8. 1.8 is the number. If you could spend 1.8, at 1.2, you're at 1.2, you're basically,
why not?
You're cutting corners. That's what I think the Dodgers cut corners in the offseason.
Yeah. By the way, I thought it was hilarious when people were trying to rip the Dodgers for they're like, oh, you allowed Shohei to come on, defer all of his money. I'm like Mookie said it on an interview. He's like, what do you want us to not try to win? Like if every other ball club in this country was offered Shohei Ohtani and he said, I'll defer all my money.
Okay, can I tell you this? I think that if we're talking about that specifically, I think that's a don't hate the player, hate the game. I think the rule, I think that's bad for baseball to defer that much money. Let's put it that way. So you shouldn't be upset at the Dodgers for doing it. I think you should be upset at, wait, what do you mean? Arguably the greatest player we will ever see in our generation is only $2 million a year on the books. I think that I think that more would be the argument.
Totally. But when people go oh, this is unfair, the Dodgers are doing it. I'm like, if your team was offered Shohei Ohtani and you said no, you should all be fired because you wanted to be fair to baseball, fair
Mhm.
to the.
No,
Thank you,
that's
John.
not
I appreciate
that's not the Dodgers' job.
it.
The Dodgers' job is not to be fair to baseball. The Dodgers' job is to try to win, and any advantage that they could take, they could take. I pointed this out because you got great flow in your hair, and listen,
Hey,
I don't get
look
that
good, Slee.
opportunity, bro. I know, I just don't get that
You
opportunity.
rock it, dude. You go with it. It works. You know what I mean? You
Yeah, I
got that
just
chiseled jawline, that Brad Pitt jawline.
yeah, no one's
that
ever said that one to me.
Chris Hemsworth physique.
Yeah, you're definitely looking at the wrong. I don't know what you're looking at through your StreamYard, but it's not the same thing there. Okay, yesterday there was, I thought, and I was talking a little bit about this. The worst part about sports, right? Worst part about sports, I think it's safe to say, is injuries. Injuries
Yeah.
are just such a killer when it comes to sports, and no one's going to feel bad. There's not going to be one Dodger fan this morning that feels bad for the Padres because Musgrove had to leave the game, and it
Yeah.
probably leaves them. I think it's 100%. It's going to obviously leave them out of this series coming up.
Yeah.
If the Padres move on, maybe there's a chance, but I don't think there will be. How significant of a blow do you think? How much does that change the series that Musgrove won't get the ball
It's
at any point in the Dodger series?
it's interesting because both teams obviously most go for the Padres, Glasnow, Stone, and the Dodgers got a ton from first Sheehan and Gonsolin's working his way back and Kershaw. It's a big deal for the Padres in that there's less room for error because you had
Mhm.
Darvish coming out of the pen, so now he just moves up to the third starter. So in theory, you have three good starters in King, Cease, and Darvish. But if the kind of weapon that the Padres had was that if one of those guys got in trouble, you're just going to
Sure.
bring Darvish in and go for 3-4 innings and try to take it to the bullpen. You don't have that luxury anymore. And one thing that we saw the last couple nights from the Padres is they're jumping on teams early, starting pitching. They haven't. It was surprising to me that they weren't able to take advantage of the bullpen of the Braves, who were so depleted
Mm.
Monday playing a doubleheader. I thought it was going to be the other way around. I thought the Braves were going to come out and try to take their starter as long as possible. And that game last night, they jump on Fried, get 5-1. That game got kind of scary there at the end. Jason Adam gave up the 2-run shot in the eighth, and Suarez closed it out in the ninth. But I think this comes down to what stars perform the best in what third pitcher performs the best. Is it Darvish or is it Landon Knack or Buehler? And a lot of people kill Landon Knack and Buehler. Buehler had a great outing last week against the Padres. Really looked like he was getting some stuff back. And I know Landon Knack got touched up by the Padres in the first game, but he's got a lot of good stuff. Like he was going. It was one inning. He kind of got in trouble through the one pitch. I believe it was Cronenworth that got the 2-run shot. I think it's going to be.
Yeah, it
The
was
series will come down
Cronenworth
to
early.
that.
Yeah, it was Cronenworth
Yeah.
early.
So
Can I say something about? I think this is my personal opinion. I think Buehler is. I think it's fool's gold if you watched what you saw on. Like as a Padre fan, I'm like, go ahead and throw Buehler out. Here's his issue, in my opinion. He only had one strikeout, so and balls are still being hit hard. And it's so unique to have these two teams face each other. Both teams face each other 1 week before the season ended. Like the fact that they just had a 3-game set in LA
with major stuff on the line for both
with
teams.
Major stuff on the line, everybody's obviously playing all the way through, literally playing all the way through. Dodgers were trying to wrap up the division. Padres were trying to get a postseason berth. There was a lot that was going on there, but I think it's beneficial for the Dodgers to just have seen Michael King, to just have seen Dylan Cease, to just have seen, some of the bullpen guys. I think it's beneficial for them. I think it's beneficial for the Padres to have seen Jack Flaherty.
Both. Yeah.
I think now they didn't get to see Yamamoto. That was the one pitcher that wasn't a part of that series. But I do think there's some benefits to, both sides just seeing each other as well. Can I before we go somewhere, can I wait, were you going to say something bullpen?
Yeah, I was just saying the bullpen is also fascinating because it was kind of thought of as the sexy pick was the Padres to upset 22-27. ESPN analyst picked it because it was like, even though the Dodgers have a better hitting lineup, they're like, because of the injuries, the starting pitching staff is better for the Padres. and they were giving it the bullpen to the Padres. And I think it's interesting because the Dodgers bullpen has quietly been great the last while. If the Padres are one, the Dodgers are two. We've seen, Robert Suarez struggle for the Padres. He got that
Yep.
back last night. But now you're seeing
Did he?
Jason Adam
Did
and
he
a
get
few
it back?
guys.
I mean, if you saw the prayer I had to do when Suarez got out there, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I think a lot
Okay,
of people did.
who was it? Was it Kenley had a moment there? I know Kenley was great for the Dodgers for years, but towards the end of his time with the Dodgers, wasn't there always like angst every time he came out?
Oh yeah, and then it really took advantage. Like that was the downfall of that 2022 team. The Dodgers had everything going on: hitting, starting, bullpen. They let Craig Kimbrell all year. He was
Oh yeah,
struggling.
that's right.
Decided not to do anything about it, and it came back to bite him. Michael Kopech in it was a huge addition to solidify that the Dodgers actually have a legitimate closer.
If they didn't make that trade, and listen, this is what the Dodgers do, but imagine if the Jack Flaherty deal didn't go down. Remember the Flaherty
Oh yeah,
deal that went down because the Yankees were worried about whatever physical or whatever the case was. So the Yankees were worried about it. But Kopech and Flaherty, like you literally, and I know this isn't the position that the Dodgers wanted to be in. You're basically giving the ball to Flaherty as your ace, and you have a closer where clearly that role is no longer Evan Phillips. Clearly that role, there was no kind of solidified closer. Now you got one, and the Padres got a chance to see him in that, what was it, 4-3 game on that Saturday night or whatever it was.
yeah.
And you saw his kind of ridiculous stuff. So they kind of really shored up a couple. Who would have thought that those two moves were going to be such critical moves once the postseason starts? I'm going to read a comment here real quick. B. Skrills. Ohtani first time postseason run, maybe World Series run. I know you're young, so you're not the greats that you've seen, right, will be different than some of the greats that I've seen, just basically based off of how long you've been on this God green earth. But with that in mind, everybody is looking forward to seeing Shohei Ohtani in his first playoff game. I mean, everybody but me and every Padre fan, because you're worried about this guy. Like there's that series that the Padres and the Dodgers had a week ago. I felt like he batted .888 in that series, and I'm probably not that far off. How excited are you to see just literally one of the greatest players we've ever watched in his first playoff game in Major League Baseball? The Angels did everything they could to stop him from making the playoffs, and they executed that perfectly.
Yeah, they were great at it.
But the Dodgers, this is a completely different story here. The Dodgers, that won't be the case, though. You'll be in the postseason every year. What are you expecting from Ohtani?
He talked about earlier this week about how he talked with Roberts and them about he was trying to do too much early in the year because he was so used to with the Angels him and Trout having to carry everybody, and Trout was hurt for a lot of that time, that just swinging for the fence every time and not kind of just getting on. It's cool. I mean, when the Dodgers clinched, like everyone was excited, and seeing Shohei just like going nuts was like awesome. I think you see this a lot in the NFL. Teams that go far, when you bring back the whole in the NBA, you bring back the whole same cast, and yeah, that was great seeing the Houston Astros get knocked out. That was beautiful, just as a baseball fan. But like when you see teams go far, they have rookies, they have guys who haven't won before, who are doing it. It's crazy to think that Shohei Ohtani, the best player in baseball, hasn't won before, but he's never even been there. And it kind of rejuvenates the team. The team is talking about how it's exciting to see, like, we want to play for him, we want to get him a ring, and I think it kind of rejuvenates a team that got beat early the last 2 years and didn't go where they wanted to go. And it's going to be fun. This is going to be a star-filled matchup.
Have one more of these I want to put up here. Dodgers, a different team than last year. I see a different outcome. I mean, I'm going to simplify this. If the Dodgers, it's going to come down to starting pitching. And you don't even need Buehler and Knack to, demolish it. What you need is Flaherty and Yamamoto to hold it down. And if you have two starters that can hold it down, because I feel even if Cease and King aren't great, they're probably not going to give up more than 3 runs. Like I have confidence that those two guys probably that's what they're going to be. I think the question is just going to come down to starting pitching. But we'll see if it's a different outcome. Is there a world? There's a local sports radio station here in San Diego I was listening to this morning, and they were talking. The conversation was up. I don't know. There was our Dodgers are kind of trying to play this underdog story, like, hey, we're the underdog. And maybe they're trying to play that from a look how beat up we are, look how injured we are. Is there a world where the Dodgers can ever be an underdog? Because I have a difficult time kind of comprehending that. I don't like making the example of, oh, well, they spent $1.2 billion. They're not an underdog. Yeah, but if you got guys that are missing that were part of that $1.2 billion investment, then technically maybe you can become an underdog.
Right.
Are the Dodgers in any shape, way, or form an underdog coming into the series with the number one record in baseball and also starting at Dodger Stadium?
I think they should be the favorite. I think that it's going to be a great matchup. The Padres certainly have a chance to win the series, a legit chance. I think Dodgers trying to mix it up. I think it's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is like the last couple of years have been disappointing, and that you were this heavy favorite, and people are talking about who you're going to play in the World Series, and it's kind of got overlooked. And it's been 2 years of disappointment for Dodger fans, going like, man, this team is way too talented to be getting bounced this early by division rivals too. And I think you see it. The media, everyone's picking the Padres. They're the sexy pick. They're the underdog pick. Analysts don't get a lot.
You think a lot of those picks came before the Musgrove injury?
Yes. Well, they pulled it before the playoffs.
I think that changes now. I think now if there were 10 votes before and Padres were getting 6-4 or 7-3, I think it's 5-5 now. That's my personal opinion. I was ready. I was ready yesterday, while that game had started and you're taking on the Atlanta Braves and they jump out to a 5-1 lead and Musgrove looks like he's cruising. I was very comfortable saying, okay, if the Dodgers are next, then let it be. And trust me, that's not usually a conversation I have with myself when I'm talking Padres Dodgers, but I do think now it's a coin flip of a series. I really do believe that. Go either way.
Yeah, no, it's going to be amazing, and it's just like analysts don't get a lot when they picking the Dodgers. If you're doing an ESPN article or Fox or whatever, you go, I think Dodgers win the World Series. The other fans of other teams have had to hear about the Dodgers getting Shohei, Yamamoto, and Teoscar run through everybody all year. So yeah, they want them to lose if you're not a Dodger fan. And I do think this team's being slept on a little bit, and the Padres have deserved a lot of love. They've been unreal. They've been one of the best teams in baseball the last couple months. And as I mentioned, they have a real chance to win the series. But I think people are a little too down on the Dodgers because of the pitching. I think they're blowing it a little out of proportion. I think it could be a problem.
It's a good point.
There's a lot more talent on this team than I think people are giving credit for.
Yeah, there are a lot of experts. Put that in there, experts. There are a lot of experts that I agree. There isn't too much of a Dodgers deep run, and maybe listen, I've given my hesitations. That starting rotation doesn't do anything for me. Now, if they outperform, Yamamoto, I was talking about this yesterday. He's only had 4 starts since he came back. The dude was out for 3 months, so it's not like he's had 10 starts and you know exactly what you're going to get. He hasn't gone. Only one time he went past the 4th inning. So I think the question marks are fair, but where it goes from here, I think will be, obviously will be interesting. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big part, is that you want Flaherty to go for the Dodgers as long as possible. You want Yamamoto to go as long as possible, because in that game 3 on Tuesday in San Diego, if Knack or Buehler, whoever you throw out there, get in trouble early, you want them to get through 3-4 innings. You're not trying to have Buehler or Knack. I mean, it'd be, for Dodgers fans, it'd be great if he went 7 innings, but that's probably not that realistic. You want to have the bullpen ready for that game. So I think it's crucial that no matter what happens over the weekend, to not deplete the bullpen, because you're going to need it for that game 3 starter.
Sammy, do me a favor. Don't sound so polished on here, and don't sound like you know what you're talking about. You're making me look bad. You're making me look bad, okay? All right? You can't go from an intern to just basically getting hired and then all of a sudden sound better than the host. Okay, relax.
No, no, no,
Relax there.
no, no. This
Fumble
is
on
the
your words
mentor. This is
more.
the.
Fumble on your words more.
It's
Look,
coming. Don't worry.
look,
It'll be there.
look, brother. I'm looking forward to having for those that I mentioned. So Sammy interned here on Hoops Talk last year. Now he's a part of Hoops Talk. He actually owns 84% of the channel. I'm actually an employee of his. No, but Sammy,
Yeah.
all season long is going to be pumping out Lakers content. So what he's going to be doing is these Laker preview videos, and when we're done here today, I'm going to go put my sales hat on and try to go make some sales calls so we can get some revenue for this channel and hopefully get some of these, obviously some of this stuff sponsored. But
We'll be doing also just for everyone, for all you degenerate gamblers like me out there. We're gonna be doing some picks throughout the year. So feel free to mess with me if they don't hit. But if they are hitting, then we can all make a little cash.
look at these people. Look at them all coming back. I got Dodger fans kind of trying to dominate the chat here, trying to dominate the chat here.
But yeah, you're in here wearing a Padre hat. They're gonna come in full force.
Hey, listen. Let me say this, and I'll do this before we end the show today. By the way, I love that. Like, I just basically go as long as I want to go. Right, the show's going good. We're having a good conversation. We just keep going. I don't care what fan base you are. If the idea and the concept of this channel is to just kind of create a community that people are comfortable with. So if you're a Dodger fan, you want to come on here, cool. Obviously, Padre fan. I'm a San Diegan. I'd love to have more San Diegans a part of this channel as well, but I'm going to focus on SoCal sports. Obviously, a lot of Laker conversations on here, so everybody's invited. Okay, Sammy, I'm going to wrap up the show. I appreciate you taking the time and talking a little bit with me about what you're going to be doing. So keep an eye out for Sammy's video. It will drop later tonight, and it will be previewing the Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves coming up for tomorrow. Sammy, you can get in the whole Karl Anthony Towns trade, the Julius Randle piece of this, and how that mixes. So I think that's going to be fun. So thank you, buddy.
Awesome, Al. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me.
All right, Sammy. All right, that is Sammy Long right there. Okay. I'm going to work on kind of wrapping up the show here in just a second. Let me kind of say a couple things here before I get out of here. First off, I appreciate you guys hanging out on the channel. I really do. It's actually good to kind of have a guest on here. My plan is to have more guests on. It'd be interesting. I have on here. Let me show you guys this. See, this side here says running your own business was one of my topics today. It's been an interesting week. Been a very, very interesting week. This is first time that I'm obviously doing this stuff on my own. It's overwhelming. I'm not going to lie to you. This has been very overwhelming. Just kind of trying to put this whole thing together, figuring it out. It's a one-man shop right now. That's not what it's going to be. Eventually, my plan is to have a producer on the show. Eventually, it's to have somebody that can get help with on good content ideas, booking guests, going out there and get sponsorships and partnerships and everything else. But it's a whole new world. So, I got plans for the channel. How it gets there and how long it takes to get there, I don't have an answer for you. And if you've come on the channel so far, I do appreciate you being here. All I'll tell you is that it's a work in progress. So trying to do the best I can kind of day to day of figuring out what needs to be done, where I need to put my attention to. But it ain't easy. I'll be frank with you guys, right? Leaving a job where you had a guaranteed check coming in, you had everything kind of all planned out for you, working with people that have been in the business for a long time, and you just kind of get into this routine of the engine just goes. Now, I'm going to obviously, by doing my own show and running my own channel, this is going to be my fingerprints. It's going to be my vision. It's going to be what it is that I'm looking to accomplish. But yeah, it's a little bit of a wake up call too. I'm not going to lie to you and sit here and just say, hey, this is doing your own things is roses and blue skies, because it ain't. It's a challenge, and there's a lot that obviously I'm going to have to figure out in order to build this channel where I want to get to. So I appreciate you guys, obviously hanging out, and I appreciate you guys supporting the channel. Best way you can support the channel right now is just subscribe to the channel. That's it. I mean, all I'm trying to do is just get more people to be a part of the channel, to give the channel a shot. I think you guys know me well enough to know what my style is, to know just kind of how I will represent the channel. But it is a work in progress, and I'm figuring out as I go. So if you liked it so far, great. If you haven't liked it so far, you could feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions or anything like that. But it is certainly a work in progress. So thank you for hanging out today. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show, and thank you to everybody that was a part of the chat throughout the course of the show. And we will continue to build this thing out. And thank you for hanging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. The song today that I put up there, let me find it here. So it's in the background here. There's a link to the description. Pablo Moses, Ready, Aim, Fire. It's a fantastic song. My cousin Slee, when I was at the game, he's like, Al, you should tell him to play this song. A lot of reggae. I'll incorporate some hip hop as well. Unfortunately, until I figure out how to do this where I can play the music actually on the channel, which is my real vision. This is how I'm going to do it right now. Just try to kind of educate as best as I can from the music side. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. I took a boxing class yesterday. I literally took a boxing class yesterday. I'll talk about it tomorrow, and we'll go from there. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day.